Hello and welcome. My name is Stefan Czech. I'm a DOP Steadicam operator and filmmaker living in Germany. And today I want to have a closer look on the newest top model from Atomos, the field monitor and recorder called Samurai Blade. Regarding to the huge success of the last podcast I made, where I show how to work with the Canon C100 and the 5D Mark III with a new firmware update, working together with an Atomos device, Ninja 2, and the external recording and all the benefits you get with this recording on an external device, like better high quality ProRes codec. You can work in nearly any editing system without any conversion, to record on a really inexpensive medium like the 2.5-inch hard drive with over 5.5 hours in a high quality codec. When I show the benefit of a longer recording time even on DSLRs, and I have some words for this particular problem later, and the benefit of an external monitor with some tools like a peaking and a zebra and false color for the exposure and for the focus, of course. And because all of this and all the benefits, I want to have a look on the high-end model, the Samurai Blade. The Samurai Blade is an HD SDI in field recorder with a built-in monitor, or a monitor with a built-in field recorder. The Samurai records a full HD signal in 10 bits in 4:2 color space. There are two codecs available. There is the Apple ProRes codec and the Avid DNX HD codec. Both codecs are in 3 different compression rates available. The Samurai Blade records on normal 2.5-inch hard drive. You can use normal hard drive or SSD if you want. Let's start with the absolutely highlight of the Samurai Blade. This is the 325 dpi and with 1 million pixel. It's 1280 by 720 5-inch Super Atomos IPS panel. What does it mean, 325 dpi? It means it looks like an iPad of the 3rd or 4th generation. The Samurai Blade has a capacitive touch panel. This gives you a really nice and fast response on your touch on the screen. In the Atomos Samurai Blade works the new OS, the operation system 5.0, and here we find some additional really useful tools for the shooting. If you use spinning hard drives or SSD, it's up to you. It's a question of money, first of all, and the type of shooting. So if you have a normal shoot on a tripod or a handheld, probably you are really good with the normal spinning drives for €40, 500 gigabytes. Means in a ProRes HQ codec with 220 mbits, you are good to go for 5.5 hours on record time, and that's quite good. If you want to shoot on some more moving environment, like in a car or on a bicycle, a motorcycle, helicopter, whatever, you probably go to an SSD card or SSD drive because you have no moving parts in there. It's probably the better way. But as I said before, if you have the normal shooting without any bad shaking on the camera and also on the Ninja or on the Samurai, you are really fine with normal hard drive, spinning hard drive. There's a list of recommended hard drives on the Atomos website. Let's have a look on, in my opinion, really interesting point for the recording outside of the camera, the external recording. Normally when you record in the camera, you will record on SXS cards like on the Sony AX. You record it on CF card, on SD cards or whatever. And all these cards are good, more or less reliable, but only to storage the footage for a short period of time, right? So after the shooting and after you have bring all the footage into your computer on some hard drives, you delete it on this device. And so I think when you record on a really inexpensive hard drive and you leave all the footage after the shooting on the hard drive and store it like in the earlier tape time, it's quite good. But if anything went wrong, you have the original footage on the original storage. So probably you think about this, this is a good way. And with most of the camera, like the Sony and the Canon and Panasonic, you can trigger directly from the camera the recording on these devices. So it means you start the recording on the camera, inside the camera start the recording, and at the same time on the Samurai. Or you record only on the external device, like I do here in this time, so I can start and stop here the recording in the Samurai blade. Let's see what you have to adjust in the menu, for example on an EX1 from Sony. When we connect the Samurai blade and the EX1 from Sony, we see the same time code. Now let's tap on the time code. Now we see the camera trigger is on Sony source HD SDI. But in this configuration, when we push the start stop button on the camera, we run on the camera but not on the Samurai. We saw that the time codes run, but there is no recording. For this we have to go to the time code and choose non-time code. And then we choose this time code icon. If it becomes yellow, it's ready to go. We go back to our screen, push the button, and you see we're recording on the Samurai blade and we're recording inside the camera. So now we have the trigger over the camera for on and off. And for this it's really important that we choose the right time code in the camera. Let's go to the menu, let's go down to time code, and here we can choose between preset, region and clock. But in this configuration the camera didn't trigger the Samurai blade. So we go back to preset and then have to choose run, not free run. We have to go to record on run. On free run you see the Samurai blade starts immediately with the record. So this is not our intention. We go to record run and now we are ready to go. Again, push the button. We are recording in the camera and on the Samurai blade. This is out of questions. If you have an external monitor, you can adjust and bring it in the position for you best to work with them. It's perfect. Beside the monitor, the biggest difference between the Ninja 2 and the Samurai blade, of course, is the connectivity. So the Ninja 2 is with HDMI and the Samurai blade with HD SDI. So you can't use the Samurai blade directly with a 5D Mark III, for instance, or other camera, only have an HDMI, and you can't use the Ninja 2 with the first generation of the EX1 from Sony, because the Sony has only the HD SDI connector. And for this H2S or S2H connector from Atomos come into the play. This is, I think, one of the smallest connector on the market that's able to bring the HDMI signal into this connector. What does this mean? It means you go with the HDMI cable out of the camera into this connector, and on the other side you have an output of HDSDI going directly into the Samurai blade. What I find really clever is in the device there is a battery, works for nearly 1 hour to power up this device. But it's built like the backside of the normal NP batteries. So you can put it on the backside of your Atomos device, and on the back of this connector you put your NP battery. And now you have two things. First of all, the NP battery charge the battery inside of them and power up the Atomos device. I think really clever. And this is part of the continuous powering circle system of Atomos. So you have two battery plays on the backside of the Samurai blade, like on all the other devices from Atomos. And so you can change the battery. When one battery goes down, you can put the next on the free place. To connect the converter on the backside with the Samurai blade, you can use any BNC cable, HDSI cable as you want, but it makes really sense to have a short one. I ordered a custom-made cable. This is a small, really thin cable, 20 centimeters, with two 90-degree angle BNC connectors. So I have the absolute perfect size from the connector, from the H2S connector to the left side of the Samurai blade. Where you get this kind of cables, it's custom built by a professional broadcast dealer, and normally they offer you to make you a specific cable in a specific length with the connectors you like. Let's go to the menu. Here in the menu we have some options. We can change the file name, the time setting. Here we see the firmware. Then we go to the display options. Here we can set the brightness. Another interesting point we see a little bit later. Then we can lock the display, and then we can choose if we have the display on or off when we lock. There's the ability to switch off the monitor without switching off the completely device. In the timecode options we have to choose between some different kind of cameras. Or with all the newer cameras from Panasonic, Red Epic, Sony, Canon and Arri, we can choose the specific brand of the camera. Let's go to the options of the internal codecs. At the moment we have ProRes. When we tap on them, we can switch to DNx HD from Avid. This option is available when you have registered your Samurai blade on the Atomos website and get the code for the DNx HD codec. Now we leave it on ProRes. In ProRes we have three different compression options. There is the LT, the 422 and the HQ. HQ is the with the lowest compression with 220 megabits, and I really recommend to leave it on ProRes HQ because this is a robust, reliable and really familiar codec. You can use it in nearly any editing system from Avid, Adobe Premiere, Final Cut Pro, Grace Valley Aeus or Sony Vegas and many more. In the camera we record 1080 25p, but as you see in the left corner, the Samurai get a signal of 1080 I50, and this is normal. Many cameras deliver over HDMI or even over HDSDI a signal that is converted to guarantee that any flat screen and LCD screen can manage the signal. But we want to have recording on the recording side on the Samurai blade, of course, the 1080 25p. All we have to do is tap on the number and then you see a small icon. This is a Pulldown 222. And that means that everything is fine. Now we're recording 1080 25p. But one major thing is missing. And you see here, we have no sign over the recording time. This is why we haven't put any storage now in the Samurai. When we put it in, now we see the estimated recording time depending on the codec I choose. So in a moment I choose ProRes HQ, and now I have over 4 hours left on this hard drive. When I choose a different compression, for instance DLT, we see it goes up to 8 hours and 50 minutes. With ProRes 422 we have 6 hours, and we leave it on HQ we have 4 hours. And this is really nice because we can switch manual between battery 1 and battery 2. Or otherwise, if we didn't do this manual, it will work automatically. We have the ability to adjust the audio output over the headphone jack, and when we tap on them, now we can control the line output level. Okay, let's go to the really nice tools of the Samurai Blade. Let's start with the waveform monitor. First of all, we have the Luma overlay, and we can choose if we want to have it in the lower right corner. When we tap on them, we have it in the lower third, completely over the screen, and another tap brings it in full screen. When we want to get rid of all these overlays from the Samurai, we only tap in the middle of the screen. Tap again, and we have it in the lower third. We also can get the RGB parade, the same as before, so we can have it in the lower third or in full screen. We also have a vector scope. For the exposure and for the focusing, we have some other useful tools. We have the peaking, we have the zebra, we have the false color, and the blue only. All these things are adjustable. For instance, the peaking, we have the ability to choose a different color. Then we can choose if we have a color background or black and white, or only the outlines look like this. This might be useful if you have a really bright picture and it's hard to find the edges for the focusing. On the zebra we can adjust the strength. We also can adjust the zebra. Normally when we have some skin tone, we go to 70–75%. And we can mark some scenes. So we have some favorite scenes where we said, this is the shot, this is the master shot, this is the scene I want to mark. Then we have here the ability to mark the scenes. We can export this and, for instance, import this in Final Cut Pro. One other thing, when we work with the 5D Mark III, we have a special option in the display menu. Then we can have the special input color correction, especially for the Canon 5D Mark III. And then the picture looks really close to that what we get. When we want to trigger the Samurai Blade over the camera, we go to timecode, choose Canon. Now we go back to the main screen, push the record button on the camera, and the Samurai Blade also go in record mode. When we tap on the estimated recording time, we come to the media. In this case we see we have a 500 GB hard drive. Over this menu we can also format. We don't want this because we have some footage on this. An issue they give some people a headache is the pull down menu. To demonstrate this, I set the Canon 5D Mark III to NTSC to demonstrate this. So I go to 24 frames, and now you see on the Samurai Blade we have 1080 I 59.94. When I tap on this, it will goes to 2:2 pull down in 1080p, but 29.97. This is also not 24p, right? So when you tap again, we have no input. And this is because the Samurai Blade can't make this pull down from a still in the camera. To solve this problem, you have to choose something that's moving, or you bring something that moves in front of your camera, like your hand. When you wave in front of your camera, now the samurai recognize there is a movement in the picture, and now they had a chance to make a really nice 3:2 pull down. And as you see, we have 1080p 23.98. This is the real frame rate of the 24. Let me rephrase. To force your samurai blade or your ninja to have a clean pull down 3:2 from a 24p source, then you have a moving motive in front of your camera. If not, if you have a still like a house, a mountain, or a tree, then only wave in front of the camera with your hand and you will get a really nice and stable pull down 3:2. If you want to know exactly how you work with the C100 and the 5D Mark III with the Ninja 2 as an external recording, please take a little bit of time and watch my podcast I produced before. You find it in my channel on YouTube and Vimeo also. And I have spent a lot of time to show exactly which menu you have to step in and which adjustment you have to make in the camera and also on the Ninja. This device works properly together. And there is a point for some people they are really important, and this is the ability to record a longer shot in once. When I made the podcast for the 5D Mark III with a Ninja 2, it was short after, or more or less at the time when the new firmware for the 5D came out, and makes it possible to have a clean HDMI out with no overlay and many other technical websites on the internet. And like me, we always are really happy because also of the ability to have a longer shot, longer than 29 minutes and 59 seconds on a DSLR. And because of the European text regulation, there is a stop, so you can't record longer one shot in this. And with the external recorder, we all say and think at this moment we can do this, because with this recorder we can shoot, or we can record 5 hours with 1 terabyte, nearly 10 hours in best quality. It depends only on the battery sources and of course on the battery in the camera. And after the podcast, I get some questions. Hey, it didn't work. After 30 minutes, it stops. And like Olivia Tech and all the other sites said, no, we can record longer. And I tested also on myself. And I can always say, yes, we can record until 2 hours with fresh batteries in the 5D Mark III. We can record in one piece 2 hours with the external device. So it's the same on the Ninja 2 or with the Samurai Blade and the H2S connector. And the problem is we are both right. So the people, they said after 30 minutes it stops, and we are right when we say we can record longer. When you do nothing on the camera, I mean really nothing, then after 30 minutes the camera stops the transmitting over the HDMI, the signal over HDMI to the monitor or to this device. The only way to prevent this is to manipulate something on the camera. And what I do when I do this testing, I always check on my camera if the battery it's okay. And what I do is only lighten up the display on the 5D Mark III. And this is okay. When I only put the button for the light, the camera goes on until the battery dies. On the other side, when you don't do this, For instance, you have the camera on the ceiling, you have it on a crane, you have it anywhere, and you said, okay, I have a concert of 1.5 hours and I want to have the recording time of 1.5 hours, especially with this external device. It didn't work. It didn't work until Canon has some changes in the firmware that this not happened after 30 minutes. So as I said before, the only thing you can record longer outside the camera is sometimes to push a button or to watch your adjustment of the ISO or whatever. So if you put a button, the camera probably get a signal, okay, there is someone loves me standing behind and watching me or whatever. So this is what I have to say for longer recording time. And at the end, of course, we had to compare the price range of both devices. So we have the Ninja with a price tag of 550 euro plus tax. The Samurai Blade is 995 euro plus tax. So we have approximately 450 euro more for a bigger screen, a much better display with additional things like the waveform monitor, really nice to have with all the other features. And of course, the ability to work with the professional cameras, broadcast cameras. And with the connector is around 230 euro plus tax. You working in both worlds. You're working on the HDSI world and HDMI world. You're working on a Red and Alexa and broadcast camera and an XDCAM camera. The same as on a DSLR camera. It came up to you if you want to spend more money for the Samurai Blade, but to be honest, if it's important for you to work with a high resolution monitor, then you have to go to the Samurai Blade. What is all in the package of the Samurai Blade? The Samurai Blade, of course, 2 empty master disk caddies for the hard drives. You have a master caddy docking station with USB 2 and USB 3. You have an AC adapter. You have a single battery charger, 7.4 volt battery, and you have an D-tap adapter. And this is also a sign that the blade is more designed for the professional world. So if you have a D-tap connected to a V-mount battery or whatever, you can power the Samurai Blade also with them. As for the Ninja 2, also for the Samurai Blade, there is a rugged case available. This is an extra. And the last tip is, this is a sunshade. It's, I think, 30-40 euro. You bring it in front of your monitor, and the sunshade is an absolutely must-have with the monitor. We are at the end of this podcast. I hope you like this. I hope you find some answers probably for your questions, or find some new ideas to solve problems, or you make your workflow more smoother, especially when you work with an external recording device. If you want to see more, please visit my website stefan-czech.de or .com, or visit my channels in YouTube or in Vimeo. If you like this, leave a comment. If not, sorry for this. I always said, if you're looking for additional information about the devices from Atomos, visit the website of Atomos. It's atomos.com. You have a quite nice FAQ site. You have all the manuals from the devices. You can download it, you can watch them, you can see what fits perfectly for your cameras, for your job, for your project. And for this, and best regards, your Stefan Czech.